Which tarot tradition should I start with? The RWS, Thoth, the Marseille, or something else? Hi everyone, this is Casper, the Boy Diviner here today, and I wanted to talk about, the three main tarot traditions and maybe even add in a few more random samples of tarot decks to talk to you about. Ever since I did my beginner deck suggestions video, more people have been reaching out to me and asking me about, the RWS, the rider-waite smith, and the Thoth tradition because they are not sure, which tradition should they start with. Not many who are new to the tarot actually know about the Marseille decks, so I also wanted to cover that as well. If you're new to the tarot and want to know more about this mystery tradition, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Leave me a comment, let me know what you want to know about tarot and I can maybe share more with you. It really helps me out with building out my channel. So today I wanted to cover firstly the rider-waite smith imagery and where it came from, the Thoth deck, where it came from, some history, and the Marseille tradition also, and then maybe give a suggestion about what you can start off with depending on your base knowledge of esotericism. If you're not really interested in knowing all the background or looking at the images, let me just give you a very high level overview, TLDR or TL don't watch. If you are new and you really want a strong foundation, if you're new to everything and you want a super strong foundation that allows you to read across all kinds of decks, you should start with the Marseille deck. Okay, the Marseille type of reading, and really build up your numerology from there. If you have a strong foundation in astrology already, I really recommend the Thoth deck as a beginner start because you already have a lot of basal knowledge that can help you read the Thoth deck better. If you're new to everything and you don't really care about building a strong foundation, you just want to get started reading ASAP, then you should go for the rider-waite smith tarot deck, the rider-waite smith tradition. Okay, so getting that out of the way, that quick summary, everyone should know what they should start with based on what they're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and cover more specifically about these traditions. Before I go ahead, I have a friend who wants to share tarot tips with you.
Having problems learning tarot or connecting with your deck? Learn a simple spread and go from there. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made as a beginner was trying to read the ever-popular Celtic cross. It may feel like you should be able to fill a table with all the cards to impress friends and family. But remember, tarot isn't just about knowing what the cards mean, it's about telling a story. Start small, do 1 card daily pulls, try journaling with each card, and work your way up to a 3-card spread when you're comfortable. And for other helpful tarot tips and tricks, follow me at Papa Squirrel.
So you can go ahead to check Papa Squirrel out. I really enjoy his videos. I like how he speaks. I feel like he's so eloquent. I kind of wish I could be more like him, but I'm me and I have to do things my way. Okay, so first, let's dive into the rider-waite smith tarot deck. It's a small pet peeve for me, but a lot of Singaporeans have a tough time pronouncing this deck. They say rider-waite or rider-waite, and they also say rider-waiter. There are many ways they pronounce this deck. I suggest they call it RWS just because it's easier for them to pronounce. If you don't know how to pronounce it, say RWS. If you do want to know, it's really rider, like you're riding something, rider-waite smith. Okay, so that's just quickly how to pronounce it. The version I have is the borderless rider-waite smith tarot deck. They call it the borderless edition, Waite Smith tarot deck. This is the Centennial coloring, and this is by US Games. I really like this one out of all the other rider-waite smith imagery decks that I bought. There are some out there that I think are really beautiful, like the Albino Waite deck, but those have really alternative colorings, and this is more Pamela Coleman Smith's coloring. So I really recommend this deck if you're into RWS and you want to start there. So the RWS came from Arthur Waite, and he worked with Pamela Coleman Smith on this. So some people call this the rider-waite, just because Rider was the original publisher and Arthur Waite is the one who kind of dictated the design of the deck. But what is apparent later is that Pamela Coleman Smith put a lot of herself in this deck, and how she drew it, how she thought about it. It's a lot of her. And that's why in recent times, because in the past women might not be as respected, now we call it the rider-waite smith just to acknowledge her. The deck here even calls it the Smith-Waite deck just because Pamela Coleman Smith had so much influence over the deck. Arthur Waite was part of the Golden Dawn Society. Golden Dawn is a ceremonial magic society that was kind of kept under wraps, and they all had to do their own tarot deck. So this deck is definitely based on the Golden Dawn's tarot deck. But of course, Arthur Waite has to put his own spin on it before he mass marketed it. So he did. He made some changes here and there. For example, the most apparent change he made from the original deck, I think, is changing the strength and justice cards. He swapped the numbering. So in this deck, strength is 8 and justice is 11. And this kind of makes sense with the numerology, kind of makes sense with the astrological correspondences as well. Okay, but why this deck is the best deck for you to really read when you want to get fast readings, when you want to really pick things up fast in tarot, you want to do quick readings for yourself, you want to learn how to read a tarot within a day, it's just because the deck, every single pip card, we call it a pip card or the minors, they are very evocative. Like this Nine of Swords, seeing it, you know what it means. You know, you can do a reading already. The harder parts are maybe the court cards, but the court cards are always hard for any kind of tradition. And the majors for all traditions are all drawn, so that one is not really a problem. But the good thing about this one is the minors, the pip cards, the 9 of cups, the 8 of whatever, you know, all the numbers, they have a very clear, evocative imagery. Look at this one, the 9 of wands. You know what this means, you know, he's tired, you know, he's injured and he's waiting. So this really helps you with doing quick, fast readings when you are a beginner, because you can see the meaning in the imagery. And if you are lost, you can always describe the card, you know, it's easy. Oh, you're looking out from where you are, trying to figure out where to go next. Oh, this is a person, there's a person who's trying to be sneaky around you. He's trying to, you know, harm you in some way. So there are a lot of advantages to starting with the RWS. You get to read tarot really quickly. I would say that, you know, only after maybe 3 weeks of reading with a rider-waite Smith deck, I kind of picked it up really quickly because of how evocative the deck is. Some other recommendations, if you don't really get along with this traditional imagery, you can always look for other RWS base decks. I think I recommended some in the video about beginner decks, but some other ones are like the Weird Cat Tarot, which I also did a walkthrough over. You can see that this would be pretty similar to the 8 of Wands in the RWS. So all of these are quite similar to how it looks like in the RWS tradition. So that is what it means to get RWS base deck. Not only the meanings match up with the RWS, but the imagery should also match up to some extent so that you can easily get what it means. Let's say you don't want to learn fast. You are a person who rather takes time to really understand the numerology behind the pips, and you really want to study. You don't really rely on these kind of images to tell you what it means. You should really go for a Marseille deck. Sadly, I don't own a traditional Marseille deck. The only Marseille deck I own is the Triomphe de la Luna. But it is drawn in a very traditional manner, so I think it's good to show you anyway. You will see that the wands are straight up and they are drawn like this. So you aren't really able to tell the meaning from looking at that. The Marseille forces you to understand the numbers. The Marseille forces you to really understand what it could mean. You know, 2 of Cups. What does 2 mean? 2 could mean a partnership. Cups is definitely like an emotional thing. So this could be a emotional partnership, for example. So studying the Marseille like that, you'll be able to read almost any kind of deck. You'll be able to read the RWS just because the number is there, the suit is there. But it would take a longer time for you to really pick up. It will really take more study to really get it in your head. The swords are always curved in a Marseille base deck. So don't confuse the Marseille with pip decks. There are a few differences because the Marseille is traditional. It has the traditional curved swords. So this can also help you a bit with your memory because swords are air, swords are flexible, more flexible than the wands, for example. Yeah, and from this you see the 10 of swords. You can see that there are 2 swords stabbing right in the middle. So that is a bit heavier than the usual if you just draw 10 swords straight down. The Marseille is a really good foundation for you to start when you are new to the tarot and you want to take your time. You want to take your time and you want to be able to read any kind of deck. The Marseille is the best way because whatever the imagery comes out, whatever deck you buy, you will be able to read it just because you have the number and the suit and you can develop your own meaning from there. You know, then you let the image maybe influence you a bit, but your base will always be the same. Your base is always there. You'll be able to read any kind of deck. For example, if you studied the rider-waite Smith, for example, you get this 7 of swords, and you see the 7 of swords in the Marseille. This is the 6 of swords, but you kind of get it. You won't be able to see this meaning you know. But if you study the Marseille first and you use a RWS based deck, you'll be able to read it. This is the advantages of starting with Marseille. Finally, I feel like if you have astrological correspondences in your head, you know elemental dignities, you know planet dignities, you know the rise and fall of planets within a sign, I really recommend you to start off with the Thoth. I feel like that's the reason why I don't feel comfortable reading the Thoth, just because I don't know enough astrological correspondences. Even though it's not really super important, but it is still important regardless. All of the Thoth have a elemental correspondence. So for example, you can see adjustment. Adjustment is the Thoth equivalent of justice, and you can see that there is Libra right there. And in each major, it has the sign, and in each deck, sorry, I keep stumbling over my words, but in each card, you can see the planet and sign that is attributed to the cards. For example, this one is the 9 of Cups. So if you studied Marseille, you'll be able to read this, because 9 Cups might not mean anything to you, but you can understand it. And you can see the astrological correspondences drawn here. So you can see Pisces. And I suspect this is a Saturn. But I really am not sure. I'm not the best at astrological things, as I've mentioned. But if you are good at it, you should be picking up this deck instead, because you can easily read it. For example, Gain. This is the 9 of Pentacles. You can see there's Venus, and you can see that this is Scorpio. So this is Venus in Scorpio, which is Gain. So if you know what Venus is and you know what Scorpio is, you'll be able to read this deck easily, and it is more specific than, in a way, it's more specific than the Marseille. This is why I feel like if you have astrological knowledge, you'll be able to read this much better. Success. Moon in Taurus. This is the 6 of Pentacles. Yeah. Victory. This is Saturn in Leo, I think. Okay, so this is my overall recommendation. At the same time, some people really feel called to the Thoth cards because the imagery is beautiful. To give you some background on the Thoth cards, like I gave background on the RWS because I realized I'm not being very fair. This is clearly not a well-planned video. The Thoth deck is done by Aleister Crowley with his friend, Lady Frida Harris. He really kind of half-tortured her to get this deck out. It is really interesting. You should read her letters and what she wrote to Aleister Crowley about forming this deck, creating this deck under his hand, under his eye. And I mean, it was a great partnership. The deck looks beautiful. She has her own art, and there's a lot of geometric correspondences. Aleister Crowley was also part of the Golden Dawn with rider-waite, and he had his own thoughts about how he wanted to make his own deck. And this deck kind of is closer to the original, in the sense that adjustment, which is justice, is still 8, and strength, but in Thoth is called lust, is 11. And he has his own reasons for doing that. I'm not going to get into that because I think it's a bit too deep for beginners to really understand, but he has his own reasons to keep and maintain that order that is the same as the Golden Dawn. He also made changes to the names of the cards. For example, there's the Aeon instead of Judgment. He has all his reasons there, and you should buy his book when you really study this deck. Okay, I think I really mentioned enough about all 3 traditions. I really hope this helped you decide on what you really want to start with. If you find that the Thoth deck is a bit difficult to see, the tiny little astrological symbols, I really recommend getting another Thoth deck that makes it more clear. For an example would be the Tabula Mundi. Another example would be this one, the Wayward Dark Tarot. You can see a walkthrough. I'll share that video. I made one. So you can see here, Sun in Pisces. No, sorry, Sun in Gemini. So it's really clear in this deck. Mercury in Aquarius. I hope that's alright. I don't know. I might be completely wrong. Okay, so I really hope you guys enjoyed this short video about how you're going to decide what tradition to start with. And let me know what your thoughts. Let me know what you started off with. I myself started with the RWS just because I was really attracted to Benabel went and how she taught things, and she started with the RWS. Her whole holistic tarot was based on the RWS. I would say the RWS also has the most resources, so it might be the easiest to start with compared to the others, but I feel like the Marseille really gives you a strong foundation to read any kind of deck, and I do feel like if you have astrological correspondences already in your head, Thoth is the best way to go. Otherwise, if you don't care about those two things, the RWS will always be the best. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just saw a spider there. I'm going to try to get it away, so have a great rest of the day. You take care. Bye!